81-year-old Dr. Glenn Benjamin appears to be in constant conflict with California's most historic fires. 2 years ago,
we were absolutely square in the middle of the Tubbs fire.
Last year,
the Mendocino Complex fire.
And this year.
Guess it was my turn to get caught. I lost this in my main ranch.
Hey, bud, time to go.
In California, fire season is no longer just a season, it's constant. The state's deadliest fire, as well as the most expensive and largest fire, both occurred last year. Records don't last long here. This year, winds inside the Kincade fire clocked in at more than 90 miles an hour.
We packed up our house and our son. And
Amy Head and Marshall Tuberville have been battling these fires for more than 2 decades. As the climate changes, so too do the fires.
We're seeing 100,000-acre fires multiple times a year sometimes. It's much different from when I started 20-something years ago.
What does the power shutting off do to affect your ability to fight these fires?
At the home level, it affects electric gates, garage doors, any other thing that people need power for.
PG&E is expected to cut power to more than 800,000 customers.
We don't have power. Folks in rural areas don't have water.
I can't help but think maybe it's an overreaction.
PG&E says warm and windy conditions create higher risk of its equipment sparking a fire.
Well, that's very frustrating, and I just think there's got to be a better way.
PG&E as we know it cannot persist and continue.
The search for culpability is a visceral one inside this state. Many, including the governor, are quick to blame the utility company that runs power to the majority of the state, Pacific Gas and Electric.
This is not, from my perspective, a climate change story as much as a story about greed and mismanagement over the course of decades.
While recent investigations have found the company's equipment likely responsible for starting nearly 2,000 fires in the last 5 years, the search for responsibility has at times turned ugly.
Things are being thrown at folks. People's lives have been threatened.
More and more people across the state are living in wild areas that are also high-risk fire zones, called the wildland-urban interface.
In 2012, about 15% of our service area, which is 70,000 square miles, was considered extreme or elevated fire threat. This year, as of 2019, more than 50% of our service area is in that elevated or extreme wildfire threat.
After the deadly fires in 2018, the company filed for bankruptcy, citing debt in excess of $50 billion, making the challenge of improving fire safety in a state battling climate change that much more daunting.
It's not all PG&E's fault. The state of California should have been cleaning this out a long time ago, instead of waiting until hell breaks loose and then blame it on PG&E.
PG&E calls this systems hardening. The idea is to replace the more vulnerable pieces of equipment, but also to keep the trees back a safe distance from that equipment. The company says by the end of 2019, they will have hardened more than 150 miles of line, but the goal is to harden more than 7,000 miles of line in the next 10 years.
That work starts in areas most vulnerable to fires, a large American gas and electric company in the unique and ironic position of citing climate change as partly responsible for the disasters.
We're out in the field doing stuff with Cal Fire folks, and it seems like more and more of their job is environment, climate related. Is that true, do you think, for PG&E as well?
Certainly over the last few years, we've seen a change and unprecedented weather conditions and fire conditions across our state.
It's hotter, it's drier. Weather events, wind events, there's more of them. And unfortunately, with some of the weather that we're seeing and the winds, Mother Nature wins.
This is
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.